Hello, welcome to the Balkan politics, one of the important causes for the World War I. The Balkan region, a peninsula around the Mediterranean Sea. The Balkans were a geographical region belonging to different ethnicity, comprising the present-day Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia, and Montenegro. And its inhabitants were broadly called as the Slavs. Who were the Slavs? The Slavs were a group of people in the eastern and southeastern and the central, including the Russians and the Ruthenians. The Eastern Slavs, the Bulgars, the Serbs, the Croats, the Slovenians, the Slovens, etc. They were together called as the Southern Slavs. And the Poles, the Czechs, the Moravians, the Slovaks, these all people were called as the Western Slavs. All these regions were living around the Mediterranean Sea. It was a peninsula consisting of the Balkans. These Balkans were ruled by the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire, the Turkish Sultan, the Turkish rulers established the Ottoman Empire. The founder, Osman I, established the Ottoman Empire. They had their expansionistic policy and exerted their rule on the Balkans. The Ottoman Empire was at its zenith during the time of Suleiman the Magnificent in 1453s and thereafter, when they invaded different kinds of regions in Europe. The intellectuals did not know how to safeguard their important documents. They left the regions and traveled to different kinds of places to protect what they have written, which is called as the literary work. That region is called as a rebirth, a renaissance. So the Turkish influence was nearly for 600 years on Eurasia. After the 1622, slowly the Ottoman Empire started declining, and completely in 1922, it collapsed. Why were the Balkan regions a problem area before the 1914, which is a World War I period? To explain this importance, the decline of Ottoman power and the importance of the Balkans to different countries, we need to understand the significance before that. The Balkan regions got the nationalistic feeling and the sentiments of the struggle for independence and to fight against the Turkish Sultan, getting inspired by the French Revolution. Each one of these countries having different kinds of ethnicity, having different culture, having different practices, they all wanted to have their independence declared from the Turkish Sultan. So this problem of nationalistic sentiments became very, very intense. The cause for nationalism, the struggle for sacrifice for the sake of nation to liberate themselves from the external ruler, that nationalistic sentiments ran aroused in the hearts of these people after the World War, after the French Revolution. The trouble in the Balkans in the early 20th century, the Balkans was very unstable. This area of Europe had been traditionally controlled by the Ottomans for a long period of time. You can see the arrow pointing out the region of Bosnia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece. All these regions were under the Ottoman Empire. But slowly after the 20th century, during the start of the 20th century, the Ottoman Empire weakened because one by one, all these nations, having inspired by the nationalistic ideologies, started declaring independence for themselves and seeking freedom from this Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman, since the 17th century, much of the Southeast Europe, which is called as the Balkans, had been the part of Ottoman Empire. However, by the 19th century, the Ottoman military power was in decline. It was decreasing. In the 1832, the Greek War of Independence, Greece declared independence for itself. And this marked a gradual weakening of power of the Ottoman Empire. Having inspired by the Greek struggle for independence, Serbia and Bulgaria were also on the march for their independence. When Serbia took up this responsibility and wanted to have a pan-Slavic movement combining all the Slavic regions with the initiative of Serbia, Austrian new prince, new king who came to the throne, he declared that he is going to capture, annex the Bosnia and Herzegovina region. So, the Austria-Hungary was a large scattered empire that controlled over 11 different nationalities. The Austrians were Germans and the Hungarians. They were the Magyars, but they were also ruled over millions of Slavs, subjects like the Czechs, the Serbs, the Bosnians, and Croats. So when Serbia wanted to have a pan-Slavic movement combining all these regions into one entity, Austria thought that its power will be weakened and its influence and the impact on all these nations is going to reduce. So it declared the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is how the Balkan nations gained influence and independence from the Ottoman Empire one by one. We can see the regions like the Bulgaria, Serbia, Romania, Montenegro, Albania, Greeks, and slowly the big impactful Ottoman Empire is totally getting disintegrated. The spread of this romanticism and the spirit of nationalism in the Balkans, this was a leading to disintegration. They lost their entity togetherness amongst themselves. This paved the way for the European big countries like the Germany, the France, and these countries were slowly coming into the Balkan region because their unity now is disintegrated as each one want to become nationalistic out of their own land, with their own region, with their own language, with their own culture and ethnicity. This disintegration of the Balkan region paved the way for the European countries to come and totally occupy the Balkan region. The Balkan area became an area of intense conflict as the different Slavic nationalities struggled for their independence. Each country was striving for their own independence. So Austria was insecure that Serbia is going to unite. Serbia is going to unite. It declared that it is going to combine all the Slavic regions into its entity. This created the insecure feeling in Austria, and the new king who came to throne in 1908 announced the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This created a terror and a feeling of revenge in Serbia. This paved the way for the World War I. The Bosnian Serb attacked the Austrian Prince Archduke Ferdinand and his wife Sofia, who were traveling in a chariot on 28th June 1914. This Bosnian Serb bombed the chariot and they were killed. This assassination of the Austrian prince is the immediate cause for the World War I. Austria asked Serbia for explanation, gave 48 hours for explanation. Serbia did not respond. So on 28th July 1914, the regions of this particular entire Europe and the world as well came up into a big conflict, big war. That war of men, material, and money is the World War I. Austria, Hungary, Turkey, Italy, Germany on one side, the Axis powers. Serbia, Russia, France, England, later joined by USA as allies. This war has disintegrated the Balkans. So the Balkan region, slowly after this, till today, they have gained independence, and each one have tried to establish their own government with the people's mandate after the World War I. I hope the Balkan politics is clear, and how did the Balkan states and the problem of the Balkan region is responsible for the World War I. Thank you.